Welcome to the Ben Buzz. I'm Benny King, and you're tuning in to another episode about the NBA. It's been a while since we've had one of these on the channel, but the season is now heavily underway. We just got out of what was an incredible All-Star break, and now we get closer and closer to the playoffs. But as we evaluate that, not only are we going to break down some of these contenders, but also look at the current MVP odds and some recent developments in some guys that are at the top of the race, might not being able to qualify, and then also take a look at some of these guys finding new destinations following the trade deadline. And for this NBA episode, I am joined once again by Jack. Thanks for joining the show, Jack.
Yeah, no problem. Great to be on the show.
All right. As we talk about MVP over the last few years, where it's been a lot of Nikola Jokic, been a lot of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and those guys are once again at the top of this conversation again. But do you mind explaining to the audience why there's a certain development where people are saying that they're probably not going to get it if like certain things happen? What's kind of going on with that?
Right, yeah, but the top three contenders for the MVP this year, they've been the top three for the past couple of years, but they've been
Right.
heavily injured this year. And like Jokic can only miss one more game. He missed all of January, just came back weeks ago,
Mhm.
and has been kind of struggling with his shot, but he's still the same old, having triple doubles. He might
Right.
catch up to Westbrook on that, but they're both still in the
Right.
league. But yeah, the top three, SGA can only miss 6 more games, and then Luca can only miss 5 more games. That's the 65 game rule that they introduced, which there's some controversy on that. Like, should it be a thing, a 65 game rule? It's kind of contentious. It's kind of divisive. Like,
Mhm.
if we should still have it, I don't know. I can see
Yeah.
both sides. Like, you want your players to play games, but when they have injuries like this, no, like it's tough because if that does happen, if
Right. And it's so
those
many
players,
games too.
I know,
Right.
like
And then what's interesting about that is then they want the players to care so much about the All-Star game and really try, but they're like, if I miss a couple more games, I'm not going to be eligible for some of these end season awards. So why would I put in all my effort just to get injured when we're just halfway through the season as well?
right, I know, yeah, and yeah, I don't see Jokic missing another one, but if that
Mhm.
happens, like if those top three, Luca, Shea, and Jokic all miss their games, and it goes to someone like Anthony Edwards or Cade Cunningham or Jalen Brown,
Mhm.
it's gonna be a topic because those top players, like Luca's leading the NBA in scoring. SGA is having
Right.
another amazing season. Jokic is also having all those top three having better seasons than these American stars like Cunningham, Edwards, and Brown. I think with a Jalen Brown, I think he's probably next in line behind those three, just because of how
Right.
great he has been for the Celtics. Through Jason Tatum went out here with that ACL tear. Just to take the reins of this
Right.
team is just insane, and he has a great team built around him. With Peyton Pritchard just went off against the Lakers a couple nights ago. That was insane. Like, you have Walsh coming
Mhm.
in there. They just traded away Porzingis and got Vucevic in
Right.
there, and he's been making
Mhm.
plays. And then, yeah, like Derek White, he's a monster on defense. Just a great.
Mhm.
I think that you can't, like, it's hard. It's hard to like say the Celtics are a championship contender without Jason Tatum, but I think they are. Like, it's hard.
Right.
Like, they haven't even had 20
I
losses
know.
yet, and we're 3 quarters away from this end of the season. It's crazy what he's done. I think that has to go into much. He's just taken this team to the next level, and like, maybe
Right.
that maybe that's a knock on Jason Tatum's legacy. Like, the team is doing that good without him. So yeah, but I think that's
Right. I mean, this is
like,
really an
yeah.
anomaly, right? Because you see, last year we were talking about these Achilles injuries, and then you look at the team this year of these teams that were affected by those. You look at the Pacers with Halliburton, dead last in the Eastern Conference. You look at the Bucks,
Mhm.
who they don't have Lillard anymore, but if he didn't get hurt, maybe he'd still be with the team. They're 11th. The Celtics are somehow they are the anomaly, sitting up there at number 2. I mean,
Yeah,
Jaylen Brown sacrificed his hair to to have this good of a year. So
yeah,
that's what's really
yeah.
interesting is that the NBA is seeing a lot of parity, and we've seen that across all sports. And that's what I really like is that it's less like, remember, for years and years it was always just like, well, it's going to be Cavs Warriors. It's going to be Cavs Warriors. And we kind of went away from that. And it feels like every champion, I believe over, what is it, the past 5 years, every champion has been different, but a lot of them have come from the West. Do you think that that will come into play here? And how do you think these MVP favorites are really going to factor into that, as we kind of saw Shea last year win it all? Do you think similar to that think it happened this year?
Yeah, I mean, I love the parody. You know, like with
Mhm.
the Raptors winning their first title ever, Nuggets winning their first title ever,
Right.
Bucks winning theirs first one in like 50 years. That was
Mhm.
insane. Thunder winning their first one in franchise history. Like it's I'm saying that like not just dynasties, because that's what you kind of had, like 90s Bulls, 2000s, 2010s, you had the Spurs, and then the Warriors and the Cavs. That's all you had. But this
Mhm.
is I just love that for the league. And I know
Right.
ratings are down, but this I don't know. To me, this season has been as great as ever. Like, it's competitive. You have stars all over the place. And just
Mhm.
like we saw in the All Star game, like that was one of the best one in years, I think. And players were actually trying. Like Wemby really kind of saved that. And I think like Wemby's going to be
Mhm.
like I think the reason why this league like takes it to the
Mhm.
next level and gets like
Oh,
the
yeah.
best. Yeah, because he just I don't know, he just takes it to the next level. He's just such he's so fun to watch. He's just a great personality.
Right.
So yeah. But yeah, with the next season, I think or for this one, like for
Mhm.
like MVP taking their teams to make a run at the title, I think
Right.
when you look at I think the Celtics absolutely are for the East. Pistons are
Mhm.
they have the best record in the league, tied with the Thunder right now. They just took their first loss in a while against the Spurs, but they have looked very, very impressive. Cade just dropped 40 the other night. And
Mhm.
I don't know. They're a tough one because last year was kind of like a stepping stone to where they are now, where they kind of almost took the Knicks to 7, and then the Knicks ended up losing to the Pacers. But
Right.
it's hard for me to call the Pistons a contender right now. I think you kind of have to call them that, but I don't know. I need to see more. And it's like recent playoff success has not really told me that they haven't been a mainstay in the playoffs at all. So
Right.
I don't know. I guess I would say the Knicks probably definitely are for the East, and then the Cavaliers. Cavaliers are another one where I'm kind of like feel about it because full strength they can't take out like a very weak Thunder team. I know the Thunder are probably close to the best team in the league, but come on, they don't have their 2 stars, and you're at full strength. Like, no, it's tough. But that's I mean they did go on a crazy win streak, but I don't know how I feel about the Cavaliers right now. They were the 1 seed last year, and they did have the DPOI, but
Right.
they're just not having as great of a year this year. And I think the Pistons, Celtics, and Knicks would all take before them. And I don't think it's going to be an East title
Mhm.
this year. I think it's going to go back to the West again. Just they just always look
Yeah.
like the better conference to me. And
I feel like the
besides,
deep.
like, yeah, for sure. Like, other than the Celtics winning, and then obviously the Bucks in 21 and the
Right.
Raptors, but there hasn't been like a constant threat in there. I guess last year before Tatum got hurt, I think I kind of thought they might repeat, but now I think this year the Thunder are going to repeat. But it's weird. We just don't have teams repeating at all, so it's hard to say that. But if I had to put my money, I would say the Thunder would repeat. I guess it's all depending on like how good Jay and J Dub are going to look when they come back, because they are dealing with a lot of injuries. Because J Dub, he had that wrist fracture that he
Mhm.
played with the
Right.
finals in, and then he had that hamstring injury. He came back, injured the hamstring again. He's out again. He's missed like more than half of the
Right.
season. Like when he's in, he's great, but I don't know. It almost seems like we're doing better without him, which is kind of crazy to say for a guy who dropped 40 in the finals. I don't know,
Right.
but yeah, I guess it all depends on how good they look when they get healthy for the Thunder. And then I would say the Spurs absolutely are a title contender. I mean, they look better than ever. I mean, the Spurs, I think, are like one of the best organizations in the NBA. Like they just can't miss on a draft pick, and
Right.
like this could be the third straight Rookie of the Year. Like Wembanyama was Rookie of the Year, Stephon Castle was, and then Dylan Harper might be as well. It's crazy. They
Right.
just cannot
Yeah.
miss on a draft pick. It's insane. And
All right. Well, they just
Mitch
keep getting
Johnson.
lottery.
I
Yeah.
know. I know. They really get lucky with them.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
I mean, the
It really
Thunder are going
is.
to get one this year probably because the Clippers decided to self-destruct.
I know. Yeah, that was an
Mm.
odd pick to trade away Harden and Zubac.
Just as they were turning it around too.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't
That's
really
what's
get
really
that. They might
confusing.
they might still make the play in, but they're not making any real damage. Kawhi doesn't seem like he's very confident in that team anyway.
Right. I think
But
he
they
had
did.
said
But
something like, "We're done."
I liked getting Mathurin there because he's
Hmm.
he's definitely a rising star. I think he'll do great things for them. I mean,
Oh yeah, I think
he
so.
went
He's
crazy in
more
multiple games
developer, but I
last year in
think
the
he can take.
finals. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, for
He's
sure.
had some good performances. If he can put it together. But some of these teams, it's kind of random where you have a team like the Kings where it felt like they were coming around, where like they were kind of at that depths for the longest time. They started to build up a culture. And then once they build up that culture, they decided to get rid of their best players and now are right down at the bottom. Like some of these decisions by some of these teams are pretty confusing. It almost feels like they want to lose just to try to get a better draft pick. But honestly, even though that it's wrong, it's hard to blame them because these lottery picks, like these first like overall picks over the past few years have actually really been great, especially this year. This year's draft class is huge. Do you think that's part of why these teams are trading these guys away? Because they're thinking, well, we're not going to win a title with these guys, even though we're going to be solid. We'd rather just go for a lottery pick for the future. You think that's part of it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, and I think tanking is kind of a part of how this kind of league works. And I don't really understand what Adam Silver is trying to do with all the tanking rules, trying to get it away from the league and like finding the Jazz like $500,000, Pacers 100,000. I don't know because that tanking has been a part of the league forever. Like the Thunder did it a couple
Right.
years ago, where and the Spurs have done it multiple times. That's just kind of what teams do to get that draft capital and just to tank for wins. I don't know. Yeah, it feels like it's always been. I guess the Warriors did that too. Like teams have always done this. Cavaliers, like so. I don't know. I
Right.
don't know. I don't have a problem with tanking as much as they do. So I mean, what are the Jazz supposed to do? I guess. But I
Right.
mean,
I
Jaren
mean,
Jackson
what
Jr.
they
He got
should have
injured
done is
immediately. Yeah.
they probably shouldn't have traded away Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert after getting the number one seed. Just a thought.
No, yeah, you're right.
And some of these
You're
teams,
right.
like they get to the top, like they get to that great level. Like look at the Pistons, like they're really doing good right now. Imagine like after this year, they're like, yeah, we're just gonna trade a couple of our best players. We'll go back to where we're supposed to be. It's like, but you just came around. Why are you wanting to go right back where you were?
Yeah. And for the Kings, like we were talking about, like
Hmm.
it's insane how they just fumbled that. Because when you have Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox on your team,
I
and
know,
you trade that away to build around Domantas Sabonis, I don't
Eh,
understand. I don't get
right?
that. Yeah,
And
it doesn't
then
make any
like,
sense to me.
and then no team, like so many teams were refusing to sign Russell Westbrook. He finally gets a deal with the Kings, and then they wouldn't start him. He ends up being your best player. That's where you
Yeah,
really know there's deep problems going on in Sacramento.
right. Yeah, yeah, and I would also say Dallas because remember when they drafted Jalen Brunson, and then they traded him
Yeah.
with New York, and then obviously the Luka Doncic trade. But they
Right, but
seem
that's the
they seem
problem
like
where they
yeah,
try to stop the tanking and
right,
they try to stop it. Obviously, they're doing all this other anti-tanking. We'll see how that stuff ends up resulting over the league. But this thing with the draft lotteries, that's what's kind of supposed to stop it. But instead, the Mavericks end up making the dumbest decision we've ever seen in the history of basketball,
yeah,
arguably. And then they
yeah,
get rewarded for it by getting Cooper Flag gift wrapped to
yeah,
him. Like that is really
yeah,
silly to me. I hate that that was allowed. Like
yeah,
the fact that they
yeah.
weren't were they even in the top 10? Because didn't they were in the play-in, weren't they? And they had the number one pick.
Yes, yes, yes. They lost their first game in the plan, and they somehow made the lottery and like had the worst odds. They still got
Right.
it. Like that's why I kind of understand when people say that's kind of
Mhm.
rigged. But they got
Right.
they got flag out of that because like I don't know. I am one that I'm like, we kind of need to get rid of the lottery, I think.
Hmm.
Make
Yeah.
it so these top three teams, because I would say that with the Pelicans, with Zion,
Hmm.
or the Pelicans with Anthony Davis too, like they got insanely lucky with that, where it's like, I don't know if that was really fair, but they got those two players. The Pelicans organization is awful. How do you how did they fumble Anthony Davis and Zion? It's just insane. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Some of these just organizations are just meant to fail. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to fix necessarily tanking, but I mean some people said like they can't like they can't raise the seat price, I think, and they'll have to, after like 10 or so years, if they don't have hit a certain win total, they have to sell the team. That'd be
Mm.
insane, and that would work too. You know that would work,
Yeah. That's not a
but
bad idea.
that would never happen. I don't think.
Mm. And yeah, it's just the thought of the Mavericks. They had made they made the championship. They end up losing to the Celtics. That team was really great that year. No one was
Yeah,
stopping the Celtics, so they end up defeating the Timberwolves. And then the year after, about like was it like halfway through or so, they just shipped their best player off, sneak into the draft lottery, and get one of the better prospects in recent memory. Which is like you were just in the championship. Like you do not deserve the number one pick.
right. No, they really don't. They
That's the
really don't.
problem where
That's
it's like you're trying to crack down on these anti-tanking things, but then the thing that you implemented to try to stop tanking is causing tanking because you're getting a team trading away their franchise player to try to back into the draft and then end up getting the number one pick. I don't know if that was their plan, but it's very suspicious because just like there's no
yeah,
way you deserve the number one pick. There's no way that that actually generated and it shows the Mavericks that have the number one pick where it's just like and you got to think like, oh, a lot of people are going to say it's rigged, and I don't know if it is rigged, but it just feels rigged because the system doesn't work. And if you take it away, I understand that tanking is only going to get worse, but at least it's among those like really bad teams. We can't have these like teams that are like good or like mid to good try to back into these teams that are actually really bad and then end up taking away their draft capital. Where it's just like some of these teams have been bad for years, where it's just like teams that were
yeah,
just in the championship or just in the playoffs, where it's just like there's so many teams that are really bad that end up getting drowned out because it's just a random lottery system. And if they don't get the player, they just don't.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I know. I 100% agree.
Mhm. Yeah, but I don't know
Yeah,
what you do to solve it. Yeah.
yeah. It's tough. That I would say like get rid of the lottery and just maybe like the worst records, like how they do in the NFL. I guess you still have tanking there, but that would make it better for me because some of these teams aren't trying to lose, some of them are, but no, I say just because you're rewarding better teams above them, and these teams are only going to get more. They're just going to get worse. They're not. They're just going to stay at the bottom forever. It feels like so. Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Right. Right. And
It's
we kind of
almost
had
it's
that.
almost better.
Yeah.
It's almost better to have like to be at the 11 or 12 seed and not be the worst team in the league because you're going to have worse odds, but it feels like you're going to have better odds in a way. I don't know. Yeah.
Right. It's just because they say all that stuff with the odds. And even though like it looks good on paper, like the results where it's just like, it just doesn't feel right. Where it's just like if you're in a play-in, like if you're a part of the dance, there's no way you should be in conversation for the number one pick in the whole draft. For teams that have lost games significantly more often than you have, so we'll just have to see how some of that develops, especially as they're cranking down on their anti-taking. But they're more so focusing on the bottom teams, but there's so much taking in the middle. Like what the Clippers just did is really odd to me. What the
Right.
Mavericks did last year is also very strange to me.
Right.
And that's just unfortunate is that it feels like it's like no, like Cooper Flag should have gone to like the Pelicans or the Jazz or
Right.
like I'm not he
Right.
probably wouldn't have done good there. So he probably much prefers this move, but it's just like a team as storied as the Spurs that have like won multiple championships like this just in this century with Greg Popovich, like they won a lot on the
Yeah.
Spurs, and then they get the most generational talent. I mean, the Victor Wembanyama is like so talented. It's
Yeah.
like they get him. Where it's just
Yeah.
like some of these franchises have been losing for so long, but then they don't end up getting these best players that really turn the teams around because it's all based on the lottery system, and it's just hard to trust it, and it's hard to really know when you're actually gonna pick a player, especially in this next draft is pretty deep, but the NBA draft, like, it hasn't been as good as it used to, but it's just like there'll be like a couple hits and it's like, well, if you didn't get the number one pick, and for a minute the number one pick wasn't even that good. I mean, look at Ben Simmons. The 76ers still want their refund for that. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I know. It is. Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
but moving on to these
Mm-hmm.
contenders, I said, like, again, out of the East, I could probably only pick two teams, Celtics and Knicks. I don't see the Pistons because
You know,
I guess it just depends how consistent Cade Cunningham is going to be. Because
yeah.
I don't know, because that's why I don't think he's I don't think he's the most valuable player in the league. I just don't see it. I see like Jalen Brown or Edwards more for like
Okay.
strictly American players. Because Jalen Duren, a lot of nights, takes the brunt
Mhm.
of the force, and because he was an All Star too this year, and he's just a force in the paint. He really is. Yeah, Pistons have a great team. They have they're tied for the best record in the league. I just don't, and this might come back to bite me, but yeah, there's just not a lot of. They're just not a tried and true
Mhm.
team, and they're not battle tested enough. I don't think so. But
Okay.
yeah, out of the West, I mean, obviously the Thunder just depends how good they look when they start to get healthy, or if they do get healthy. And then
Right.
obviously the Spurs for sure.
Right. I feel
Rockets, yeah,
similarly, yeah, with the Thunder. The interesting thing about the Thunder, so they've only lost 14 games all year, and I feel like if you put them in a dogfight, if you put them in a full 7 game series with any of these teams, like, you're pretty comfortable with the Thunder. The only team that would go against them in that type of series that I would actually kind of start to lean the other way is if they were against the Spurs. Any other
right,
combination, I'm like very like I'm like yeah my money's on the Thunder, but if the Spurs are in the conversation, it's just this is a very weird like rivalry that's starting to brew, and we'll see how long it lasts. But the Thunder are going to have to start beating the Spurs a little more to really call it a rivalry, which is crazy to think about because the Thunder shouldn't be that, like, they shouldn't have the lower hand there because they're the reigning champs. Like, they have a better record, they have the number one seed, and maybe if they had more home field advantage throughout a full series, maybe they could get them. But the Spurs are the only ones that kind of make me very hesitant about the Thunder. It's just they gotta hope that they don't run into them. They gotta hope that the Spurs lose before they get there, because I think the
yeah,
Thunder can do it, but you would rather just not see them at all.
right, right. Yeah, I felt like the same way about the Nuggets last year.
Mhm.
I really just did not want to play them.
I
And
know,
I mean, we were kind of lucky that they were kind of injured with or Aaron Gordon with that hamstring injury. It still
right?
went to 7 games. That's why,
And having
but
having that Game 7 home court was huge too.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And yeah, I would want to play them again. Like the Nuggets are always one of those teams are gonna probably take you to 6 or 7. Just that's a scary one.
Mhm.
Yeah, but Rockets again, they're number 3, but I just don't. I mean, well, obviously with the KD files or whatever, it's gonna depend on
Right.
how good he's gonna get along with his teammates.
Not great for team chemistry.
No, not at all. But they have a great team. I mean, Şengün is
Mhm.
great. Reed Shepherd
Right.
can make plays, and
Mhm.
Bogey's great on defense. I don't know. I wouldn't take them for a title though. I would take the Nuggets over them, and maybe the
Mhm. Yeah.
Timberwolves. I wouldn't take the Lakers.
No, the Lakers may win a lot of games, but I don't know. I just don't trust this team in
No, I
this
don't
past
either.
few years of this
Yeah,
era that they've been on.
yeah, I don't either. Yeah,
Like, every time they get into the
yeah.
playoffs, where it's just like supposed to be a strong team. Where, like, last year they were kind of a high seed, and then the Nuggets a few years ago they were kind of where it's just like we see a lot where they end up just like getting swept by the Nuggets, and then last year they weren't hardly competitive against the Timberwolves. Where I'm just like, with this team, if they surprise me, that's fine. But it just feels like you're kind of waiting for the wheels to fall off with them.
No, yeah, I agree. It's just with that game the other night. Like the
Mhm.
Celtics paper
Mm.
are way more underhanded than the Lakers. I mean, Lakers Reeves is back on. James is back all healthy. Luka Doncic is all back healthy. Your team, no injuries pretty much. And you get blown out by like 30 by this Celtics team that's just way more competitive than why I think
Right. I mean,
that gap is so huge. Yeah.
right. I mean, we just saw that with the Warriors that are like really injured upset the Nuggets, where it's just like it feels like just about any team can beat any team despite level of strength here.
Yeah, I know. They could not miss a shot. It was insane. Horford was hitting everything. Moody as well. Like, I don't know. And Jokic had like 10 rebounds in the first quarter or whatever, like he
Mhm.
always does. But
Right.
yeah, again, yeah. The Warriors are a sneaky team like that. I don't consider the Warriors even close to a title contending team because
Mhm.
obviously Curry's been battling injuries all year and Butler's out for the year. So, but that was interesting result. So yeah, I guess it would only take four from the West and then two from the
Mhm.
East for a title. Yeah.
Right.
So I guess it's a small list to get into that club.
Yeah, your championship bubble. For me, yeah, Thunder,
Yeah.
Spurs, and then Nuggets and Timberwolves, just because the X factors
Yeah.
that they have, where I'm just like, if
Yeah.
Jokic hits a rhythm, I don't
Hmm.
know who's stopping that team. And then same thing with Anthony Edwards. Like if they hit a
Right.
rhythm, I think very similar. I think that's what
Yeah.
we've seen over the past few years, where it's just like last year was very much like team oriented. Like obviously Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was the MVP, but like the J Dub twins, Chet Holmgren, like a Hartenstein, where it's just
Mhm.
like they had a
Yeah.
lot of avenues to go to. Where it feels like
Caruso.
Caruso, absolutely, and it feels
Mhm.
like there was a trend for a minute where it was like we kind of went away from the whole like super team thing, and it kind of became like, well, it's the power of friendship plus like the machine that gets it done. Where we saw the Suns that were supposed to be a super team when like Chris Paul, this was finally supposed to happen, and
Booker.
Booker was there as well. Yeah, obviously Booker. But then Giannis Antetokounmpo is just one of those guys. When he gets going, he can beat anybody, and he did. Same thing happened a
Mhm.
few years ago with the Nuggets. When Jokic gets hot, they can beat anyone, and they did. And that's how I feel about Edwards and Jokic, where I feel like if they can do a series, like those guys are just so athletic and they're so good at their craft, where it's just like if they get like some strong momentum, I think they could really go the distance. Where I know the Rockets are up there and I know the Lakers up there, but kind of like you, it's hard to take them too seriously, especially since, as you said, the team dynamic on the Rockets is going to be interesting going forward. But also, it's just hard to trust them with recent playoff performances from the Lakers and also recent developments from the Rockets. But I also wouldn't feel that same way about the Rockets, even if that stuff didn't happen, because I feel like the Timberwolves, they've been in back-to-back Western Conference Finals, and they've just ran into the Nuggets, or they ran into the Mavericks team rather, that wasn't getting stops, and eventually the Celtics put an end to that. And then they've played the Thunder team, which nobody was really stopping the Thunder last year. Some teams got close,
Yeah.
but it just feels like eventually they're going to get you. And then on the
Right.
other side, it's just I really still feel like it's going to be the West. We'll have to see. Like I could
Yeah.
see the Knicks maybe just because
Yeah. Who
Brunson's
would you
that elite.
would you just take would you who would you take out of the East?
Man, if I have to take one from the East, I mean, it's just so hard to gauge because like the Celtics, the
No.
way that they're carrying up right now, like, can they really keep this up? I mean, we've come this far, so maybe you just say they can. Is there an update on like when Tatum's gonna come back? Like, could he come back late in the playoffs, or is he just officially out?
There is like and Joe Mazzulla declined to answer a question about this in post game interview. And he's always amazing when he's in post
I
game
know
interview. I think he's the best at those. But
he's great. Yeah.
I've heard like Tatum's doing like he's playing 3-on-3 and now 5-on-5. He looks to be like in great shape. If they could get him in the playoffs, because
Mhm.
for a player to come back in the season, they gotta play like 10, 15 games. Like to really like because he hasn't played basketball in almost a year. So to get in shape like that, you gotta play like at least 10, 15 games in the regular season before you get into playoffs. That's what I think. Would you say? Would you say that?
Yeah, I'd say so. Mhm.
Yeah. And this I don't know, it's kind of like when Jordan came back from baseball and
Right.
he only played like 10 games in the regular season and they eventually lost to the Magic with Shaq and Penny. It's kind of like that. I just I don't know. It almost feels like the Celtics would be in better rhythm without Tatum. And maybe he should just out the rest
Mhm.
of the year and just see how far they get. Because you don't want to rush this recovery, you know?
Mm-mm.
That's what happened with Robert Griffin III, obviously, for Washington football. But yeah, you never want to push it, rush it. Like I know this. I mean, they're having another historic season. And it seems like the Celtics never don't have a historic season. Yeah, again, if I mean if he's healthy, great. Again, I wouldn't be so like just heavy to push him out immediately. Say like
Right.
just 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 take it easy. Yeah, I wouldn't just be conservative. Yeah.
Right. It's hard to put too much faith on the Eastern Conference at the moment, especially since some of the top teams, like it's hard to trust them because like the Pistons, like if they really get into a dogfight with like the Knicks or like some of these teams that have been in the playoffs, are they really going to find a way out? And then the Celtics are injury ridden, but still have the number 2 spot. They're playing at an elite level. And there's been some recent developments as we kind of move over to the trade deadline. So we hit the All-Star break. And then also with the trade deadline, what move surprised you the most, and what stay surprised you the most of a player that stayed? What do you think about those, Jack?
Yeah. Well, I was surprised by Zubac going from the Clippers to the Pacers. I thought that was interesting because these Clippers went on an amazing like 18 game run where
Right.
they just kept winning games. And I think this might be Kawhi's best year as a Clipper, which is kind of crazy to say. He's just playing at an
Yeah.
elite level. And I would also say like Jaren Jackson getting traded from the Grizzlies to the Jazz, that was a little concerning. I was like, he just won DPOY a couple of years ago. I don't know if you trade a guy like that. I don't know what the Grizzlies are doing. I just don't.
I
Yeah,
don't think they
that
know.
was yeah. Because obviously John Moran has been battling injuries this year too, but I just don't get that move. It just didn't make sense to me. But also the Sixers trading away Jared McCain was also a little weird. Like,
Right.
do you really want to give the Thunder another offensive weapon? It's just so crazy. They keep getting lucky with these guys.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they'll probably have a top 10 pick, and their salary cap is very generous. It makes no sense. They hit the jackpot lottery. The Clippers will never get over that.
with the Paul
They'll
George
they'll
trade
never
with
they'll
Shea.
never live it down.
No, I agree. I think when you think of it'll be interesting to see like what's worse, the Paul George trade or the Luka Doncic trade.
I'm just
Like as
glad
we
they're
go
taking the
on.
attention away. I'm just glad they're taking the attention away from the Russell Wilson trade. It wasn't this
Oh,
bad.
yeah. No, that's true. But the Hawks did just win a Super Bowl. So
Yeah, that's fair. But so did the Thunder. If the
yeah,
Thunder if the Thunder win another one, that's official. That's not the worst.
right. You're right.
How about
And
that?
the Clippers will probably never win a championship.
Oh yeah, I mean we could get one. Yeah,
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
right. There's been a lot of bad trades recently. I feel like you can
Yeah.
say as much as you want about that Broncos one, but at least the Broncos like overcame it. Like the Clippers weren't the worst after Paul George. In fact, they actually made it to, well, I believe the farthest was the conference finals, but they ran into the Nuggets, who no one was stopping that year. I think the worst trade you'd got to say is Deshaun Watson though, overall,
Oh
because
yeah, in
the Browns
football.
got
Yeah.
absolutely nothing from that, 500 million for nothing. So at least
Yeah.
the Clippers got some Paul George.
Yeah. Some Paul George, and then they blew that 3-1 in the COVID year to the Nuggets. That was the worst.
Yeah,
But
they weren't
yeah, I
even
would
supposed
also
to be
yeah.
there though, because the first round they beat the Mavericks, but Kawhi hurt his knee, I believe. But then they beat the Jazz anyway, and then the Jazz was so upset they're like, "We're just getting rid of our whole team."
I know. Yeah, that's true. I would also yeah,
Right.
for another bad trade in the trade deadline, I would say the Mavericks trading away Anthony Davis. That officially like that made that's I mean that's who the Mavericks got for Luca. So that was just awful for the Mavericks to just like, yeah, we're just gonna give up on this trade and give away Anthony Davis. Another one was interesting was the Hawks trading away Trey Young to the Wizards. That was another interesting one.
Right.
Because
I don't think I've ever heard
yeah.
anyone say, "I want to go to the Washington Wizards,"
No, no, you're right. You're
and
right.
that's what Trey Young did.
Yeah, he seemed like hyped about it too. Like they're the next contender or whatever. I don't know. I don't see it. Like they have
I don't
some
know what he knows
talented
that we
stars.
don't.
Like I like Alexander Sarr, I guess. There's some talented players, but again, Washington's one of the worst teams in the league. They've always been.
Right. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
he's trying to do a Jimmy Butler Miami Heat 8 seed type of strat, but we'll see how it works
Yeah.
out. I
Be
mean, they're
great.
not, but I don't know why you'd want to leave because the Hawks are probably going to be in the play-in again. I guess he just got sick of always playing in the play-in. He's like, I just want to miss the playoffs this time. Fully miss
Yeah,
it.
I don't get that because the Hawks, I mean,
Yeah.
they got that number one pick last year, and Jalen Johnson, he was an all star this year. They have
Right.
seems like a talented young core. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems we're a far cry from them beating the Knicks
Hmm.
and going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right. And then
Yeah.
kind of moving over to players that ended up staying. Did it surprise you that Giannis Antetokounmpo is still a Buck?
Well, I mean, there were so many reports about like saying
Hmm.
like really cryptic tweets like Giannis may want another home this summer. It's like, well, just say he's demanding a trade. Like we don't know anything. Like stars used to say like I'm demanding a trade. Like I do not want to be here anymore. But now it's just
Right.
like all these you got to look through Easter eggs and whatever. So it was interesting. It was like Giannis wanted to leave, but then he also wanted to be the loyal one once he decided to return. It's like he wanted his cake and he wanted to eat it too.
Right.
It's I don't know. I think he did want to trade. I do think because the Bucks are just awful this year. And ever since they fired Adrian Griffin for
Hmm.
going like 30-13 and got Doc Rivers in there, everything's been just awful since then. And you saw like Jay Crowder tweet that online. That's where it all went downhill. And yeah, I don't know. And it's like as soon as the trade deadline went by, like because the Bucks are not going to trade him. It seems like the Bucks are a better organization than the Mavericks. Because
Yeah, I
like
mean, not by
you
much.
don't no, not by much, but yeah, like that's when you get a guy like Giannis, you don't trade him away. And when you get a guy like Luca, you don't trade him away. You just don't trade a guy like that away.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like when he knew he wasn't going to get traded, he's like, "Oh, I'm the loyal one. I was going to stay the whole time." It's like I don't think he
Yeah.
was. Yeah, and then he tweeted that like, did you see that like Kalshi advertisement?
Oh yeah, I hate those. Those are
That
always
was
wrong.
I was like, why are you teaming up with Kalshi or whatever? I didn't get that.
Yeah, I
It was
know. And
weird.
all this culture of, when they want to trade but they're not going to say, we're like, "Oh, he's unfollowed the team on." That's just like that's the
You're
team
right.
unfollowed him as well.
Yeah.
And then it's like they renegotiated. They're now following each other again. It's like this is so awkward. It's
No, I hate that. Hate that. It's so stupid. Yeah. Yeah. It's just yeah, just being
Yeah.
shy. Yeah. I guess the most surprising. Well, I was like,
Yeah.
because he's like one of the most tenured players any team. I think Draymond and Steph the most on the Warriors, and then it's like him, and then it's like Jokic for the Nuggets, and then Embiid for the Sixers. Yeah, I guess another one was Harden going to the Cavaliers. I guess was a
Yeah.
little interesting. I was like,
It doesn't
because I
really
didn't
phase
understand,
me with Harden.
right? Because I didn't know what the Cavaliers were doing. I'm like, why are you trading away a young guy like Darius Garland away in your young core where you've just made? Well, they didn't.
Right.
Did they lose in like the semifinals? They lost like first game against the Pacers. I think it wasn't great, but
Yeah, Pacers went on a hot streak though. They were the only team that threatened the Thunder outside of the Nuggets, but
yeah,
like the Pacers, like it
yeah,
really feels like if things gone differently in that final game, like they could have actually beat them in a series. And the Cavs were solid. They were the number one seed last year. I think they just
mhm,
ran into the too early. Like I think they might
right.
have been able to beat like the Knicks in a series or something like that. But they weren't a bad team last year. And this move, while it confuses me, they saw what happened last year and they saw how they got overrun and they didn't get swept, but like it wasn't great against the Pacers, and it was enough for them to
Right.
say we want to shake things up a little bit. Like as long as we still make the playoffs, we want to see if we just can reshuffle our players around, try to add a piece to see if we can take it to the next level and try to win a series here.
No, I when it first happened, I'm like, what the Cavaliers doing?
Mm-hmm.
Now that I see they're on like a 7 game win streak, like 5-1 with Harden on the team, they're doing great. And I kind of respect the trade now. We'll see if it continues to pay off. I kind of think like the Cavaliers are maybe they're a contender. I can't call them a contender right now. I just can't. I didn't call them a contender last year. They're just yeah.
Right.
I need to see more from them. Yeah,
Well, it's the
Mitchell
same way
has
you're
been like
feeling. It's the same way
yeah,
you're feeling about the Pistons, because you're saying
yeah,
that number one seed is a lie. Where it's just like,
right,
even though they're the number one, it's just like, yeah, but like the real ones are like the 2 and the 3, where it's just like, yeah, they
yeah,
won the most games, but like you can't. You end up just picking. You're like, well, this team has more playoff experience, or this one has more. Where it's just like last year, the Cavs were great. Like they were a great team, but they ran into a Pacers team that was just in the conference finals against the Celtics, and a team that was hungry to go to that next level, and they did, and they weren't getting stopped by the Cavaliers last time. Now that the Cavaliers have another year, would you say that you trust them more than the Pistons, since the Pistons are just trying to just get into that level? Like if they got into a series, are you picking the Pistons over the Cavaliers right now?
yeah. I'm picking the Pistons. I just think I guess you could say more playoff success for the Cavaliers, just because like you have a guy like who has tons of playoff experience. Kind of should have made a finals there, unless with the Rockets, when Chris Paul got injured and that game goes and that series goes to 7 in Golden State.
And they couldn't hit a shot. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was awful too. They missed like what 20
Ah,
threes in a row. That was awful in Game 7. That was awful. That was hard
man.
because the Rockets that team was that good that they should have won a final. I think you could say the Cavaliers just because they're both incredibly deep. I would say like great starting lineups. Would
Mm-hmm.
currently just how good the Pistons are defensively. It all depends on like how the stars are going to be. Like if Mitchell, it's just yeah, Mitchell and Kate Cunningham. It all depends on like how good of a game those guys. I think. And
Right.
yeah, that's pretty much where it ends. But right now I would take the
Mhm.
Pistons, but I think it would be close. That'd be a good matchup for sure.
Okay. With the addition of James Harden, do you take them more or less seriously here? And even though they're having this type of win streak, do you think that'll carry on to the playoffs?
I take them more seriously because
Okay.
Harden he really doesn't lose a step. It's crazy. Like I guess in the playoffs he really does not play his best ball. Regular season he's over the map. He just shooting the ball well.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think this piece like it just proves like Cavaliers like this is win now mode. I think even though they're not like they're still obviously 4 in the East. So
Hmm.
yeah, I would say they're looking to contend, but
Hmm.
again, I wouldn't take them over the Celtics or Knicks.
Right.
Yeah, I would say that they're better after the trade deadline than before. So and I think they could. I guess we'll just have to see. I think they can continue to win games. I guess this their recent loss, but was against just. I mean, the Thunder are just not gonna. They're just. It's hard to beat a team like that. But yeah, when they're
Right.
like 8-1 in the last 9 games, it's yeah they're having a great stretch here. But yeah,
Right. We'll see how some of these moves end up either improving or hurting some of these teams. And some of these teams, we can say, made some silly decisions, but a lot of these players requesting to go to some of these places is also very interesting. We're just going to have to see how some of this develops. But as we continue, I would like to touch on the NBA All Star Weekend a little bit. Now, this one was a little different. They ended up doing a 3-team tournament style where they did the old heads versus the young kids, being the stars and the stripes, and then a world team where they focused on like other countries that made up those teams. How do you think this format ended up comparing to others in the past? Because they had Eastern, Western, and then they had like Team LeBron, Team Giannis, where they would draft people. How do you think this stands in all of these different ways that they've done the All Star game? Do you think it'll continue? And how great do you think this last couple weekends was with the All Star game?
Yeah, I thought it was great. One of the best in a kind of last year. People were complaining about like how lackadaisical and how competitive at all. This one, kind of like the format was confusing to me when I first saw it. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, stars are going to go against the world, and it's stripes, and then who's going to be in the final? But after it started going, like, okay, this makes sense to me, and I thought it worked out really well. Like, you could see players actually like, and that first game really set the tone for the entire night. I think, like, and that's what Anthony Edwards
Right.
said. He's like, if he wasn't playing so hard, like they wouldn't have tried as hard. And you saw
Mhm.
Scotty Barnes with that three to win, and like you saw Wemby, he was like genuinely upset. It was insane. I just love that for
I
the game.
know.
Yeah, I thought it was a great format. I think I guess
Mhm.
it'd be cool to go East West again because that's like, but that may be more nostalgia talking.
Right.
'Cause those are all the best games in the past. I think it's better than the like having two captains and they just pick the teams. I think this is way better. Like, and the fact that like
Yeah.
yeah, I guess like every game was competitive against unless the final game. The final game was a blowout, but
Yeah, I think the old heads just ran out of steam, to be honest.
yeah, I'm surprised they like won every game up to that point. And that the world
I
didn't
know.
win a single game.
Well, the passing was really great. Like I remember LeBron hit down
And
low. I
Kawhi,
forget.
Kawhi,
Yeah, and then
Kawhi.
swung it out. Well, the one that got swung out to De'Aaron Fox, and then he hit that pump fake and then
That
hit
was
it.
great. That was
That was
great as
huge.
well.
I was surprised at the
Buzzer
amount
beater.
of buzzer beaters that we saw. Like it was so
Yeah,
electric, and there's so many great moments. I think the fact that it's in smaller increments, like there's shorter games, that there we see more effort, and the fact that they get a break and then they go back out while some other teams are playing, where I think you can continue to see that effort throughout all the games. And I think this also means something because the young guys are trying to prove that they're the ones in this game. Old heads trying to prove they still got it, and then the world trying to prove that they're the better than the U.S. to try to prove that they're the best at basketball. Where it's just like I like that dynamic, and it was so interesting to
yeah,
watch where you could see all these guys that were out there, and you could see from the start of the game when Wemby went up for that um, tip off, and then he started going crazy, and then all of a sudden everyone was like, "Oh, I guess we're all going to play really hard." Where it's just like, "Oh, this
yeah,
is what it is this year." Where it's just like, I like seeing that. And we're gonna
yeah.
need to see some improvements in the dunk contest. I think I
Oh
saw
yeah,
some
oh
highlights. It
yeah,
was rough.
oh yeah,
I mean, they have to just keep letting Mac McClung in. At least he has some good ones. I know people are sick of him, but that's honestly it saved All Star Weekend for me, and it was one of the better ones I've seen in recent memory. Just watching the highlights on YouTube, watching all the games, the amount of great plays, and I just love the buzzer beaters. I can't believe there were that many.
mm,
I know it's not going to be like this every year, but I was just so surprised at how good it was and how well the format actually worked.
yeah, 100%. And I think like the world team, because I expected them to win the whole thing. Like if Jokic and Luca actually tried because they barely played any minutes. And if Giannis and Shea were actually healthy, that could have been an interesting one. But yeah, I think the format worked really well too. I loved like I guess they could tweak it in some areas, like the tiebreakers. I guess it's point differential. I don't know the best way to do that again. Maybe you could have four teams, but then
Right.
or maybe
Yeah.
just two, maybe just the USA and world. I don't know.
Right. It kind of
I
worked
don't know
out
how they
better
could
than
fix it.
It worked out better than it could have, though, because if the world had won one of those games and then they were all 1-1, then that becomes an awkward situation. So they kind of
Yeah.
had the way of dealing with that tiebreaker there. But
No.
yeah, I
Yeah,
see
you're
what you're
right.
saying.
Yeah, this is like the
And
best. I mean, again, yeah, the dunk contest was not great. It was just again, Jace Richardson hit the. He had that one where he hit his head on the backboard.
oh, that was bad. He shouldn't have gone up for that fourth attempt. It was doomed from the start.
Yeah,
He was
and
closest
then
on
I think it was the. I want to say the the Spurs guy, Carter Bryant. I think he was like
the.
he missed one dunk and then he talked to Vince Carter for like 20 seconds and then he went up and missed another one and then just went up for an easy one. Like and then like the worst one was you saw this one the what's his name Jackson Hayes where he went for like he was trying to go for he just went for like a just a regular dunk. It wasn't even from the free throw line. Yeah, I think Like if you got some, yeah, again, Mac McClung made it interesting, and if you got like Edwards in there,
Oh man, yeah.
probably Zion could be there probably.
Right, but I saw Mac McClung. He posted some videos of like if he was letting the dunk contest, the ones that he would do, and he would have easily
Hate,
won.
hate seeing those. Like, don't show us that. I would have liked to see those in the actual contest. That just makes me sad that he didn't get to it. Like,
Right,
like been the only thing that's been keeping people watching the All Star Weekend was that dunks. And I'm glad we had a good game this year, though. Yeah, but
right.
he's always a great and like yeah, like the
Mhm.
past Aaron Gordon ones. He was the best. And yeah,
Right. I
I
think the
hope
biggest difference,
that
yeah,
performs.
the biggest difference is that I understand East West, and I like that like sort of like rivalry. But like when you're playing like in the East patches on you, like a lot of those are your rivals. Where it's just like, yeah, we're like trying to show out for the Eastern Conference, and like each team just ends up scoring 200 points. No one's really playing defense. It's kind of
Right.
just everyone's going to score. Where it's just like, obviously there's fun moments, and obviously some of the guys like they're having a good time, but it's not really competitive. And then at a certain point, it becomes unwatchable. Not that like the
Yeah.
basketball is bad, but obviously the defense isn't great. And then when it's just scoring, 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 like some of these like great like threes or like great like dunks, like they don't even look cool anymore because it's just like, well, that happens every single play. Where then you put it into this format, and then both teams are scoring like 30 a game. It's like quick, fast paced. Like you can tell like these guys are actually trying. And so then when we see like buzzer beaters like that, when we see great plays, like we saw LeBron, he slammed it down a couple times, and it was energetic because it wasn't just like, oh, he slams it to cut the lead to 42, like 140 to 172. It's just like
Right.
not interesting. This is really cool, and it feels like each team had something to prove. And I would be shocked if they didn't continue this format, Jack.
No, I hope they do. It seems like most. I think Kawhi was like, I'd rather it was fun, but because before he was like kind of like, I just want East West. This is kind of confusing to me. But now that
Right.
people are like seeing the format and how it works, just how competitive it is, and just like one thing I will say, because the game was great and their
Mhm.
performances were great, and like you want to see the best stars, but like there was no one in the stands there. The NBA's got to start lowering the prices for these seats and stop pushing people
I
out.
know.
When you go to a city like I think it was in Indianapolis last year, like it was packed.
Mhm.
I guess it might be the difference in cities because Angeles really doesn't care about basketball like that, like these smaller venues. I guess that'd be a
Mhm.
critique for sure. Like just lower the prices for the seats in the game and just
Right.
let people come in and see them. Yeah, be another thing. Mm.
Right. But I think the most problematic thing about this is that it makes the NFL look so much worse.
Yeah,
The
you're
NFL
right.
Pro Bowl
You're right.
has gotten. I mean, it's like we all know this that it's gotten bad over the years,
It's a
but
joke.
the NBA, right, but the NBA has progressed down this slippery slope with them. But now that the
Yeah.
NBA has put on a great show with great moments, with great stories and great performances, and then all of a sudden the NBA is back to peak form, and we'll see if they end up continuing this. I hope it ends up getting more popular, like and going and actually seeing it in person if they were to do it again and the prices weren't that crazy. Because to see like these types of moments, I'm like, it's fun, it's energetic, and the
Mhm.
fact that this format works so well, I'm still surprised that it works so well. But just on the other side, when you look at the Pro Bowl, like nobody's really there. It's just flag
Right.
football, and they're having a good time, but it's not
Yeah.
really watchable.
Yeah.
And
Like
that's
I
what I
saw
really,
one. Yeah, one clip was Micah Parsons like driving a
he's just
scooter onto the field.
driving the game.
What is going on?
He's just on the field in the middle of the play.
Yeah, yeah. It's not good. Like I didn't see like any clips from it.
I haven't either.
And yeah, the NFL
Really.
like is better than it. Like it's more popular and just
Mhm.
and everything in the NBA. And but it seems like they have that one coverage the All Star Weekend. So I hope it continues to go up. I mean this year it just makes me so happy because it's like it's been a downward trajectory for so long. Yeah,
Right. I mean, NFL somehow stole Christmas. When the NFL and the
yeah,
NFL, I understand it's more popular, and I get that, but when the NFL has these things where these games that they had this past Christmas, I was trying to catch what I was trying to say, when they had those games these past Christmases, and they were pretty bad. Like a lot of the
They
teams weren't
were.
in playoff contention. And the
Yeah.
ones they were, like the matchups looked good on paper, but by the time we got there in the year, it was terrible. And then like they still outdid the NBA, where it's like the NBA needs to lock in on things like Christmas because it did get stolen, but still the NFL has refused to really up the Pro Bowl games. At least the players are having fun, but I'm just glad that the NBA has delivered such high quality this year because this All-Star game was really great. And it's probably the better like type of like All-Star-ish games that we're going to see in any sport across the nation right now.
And yeah, in regards to Christmas, like I think the NBA has Christmas and it always should be. But yeah, the games were not great at all in the NFL. They were really boring. Even your team, the Broncos, snooze fest the whole game.
I know. I did not want to watch that, but you have to.
Yeah,
I mean, the
yeah, but
basketball ones were
yeah,
way better.
they
Gosh,
were.
what was it?
And like
Cavs and the who are the Cavs?
Knicks,
Was it the
Knicks,
Cavs Knicks? Yeah, and
yeah,
then
Cavs, Knicks, that
Thunder
Mitchell
Spurs.
dunk.
That
Yeah,
that wasn't great, but that was a good game as well.
yeah, and then
And then Mavericks Warriors. Man, that was a good game.
Mavericks, Warriors, and then Nuggets and Timberwolves. Yeah, that spread was great.
Oh my gosh,
I,
I wish we had
yeah,
watched Nuggets Timberwolves
no,
because oh my gosh, that
no,
looked like such.
we just saw the end of it. But the ratings were
Insane.
really high for that one. They weren't higher than the NFL, obviously, but they were higher than years just because the games were so bad for the NFL. Like, I guess we'll go to the NBA, but I guess that's better that they're getting higher ratings. And last year, I think the ratings were the highest in a while for Pacers Thunder. So I guess that hopefully that because I think it was like really low during like
Right.
Nuggets Heat and like Celtics Bricks. I think it was really low then. I think it's higher. It's been a
Yeah, who
while.
would
So
have thought that two so-called low market team, the biggest draw? Yeah.
I know it was just because that run the Pacers went on, just so many eyes. I think that's
Right.
kind of
Culture
yeah,
about stories. Yeah.
yeah. Like if it was like if the Lakers were in the finals again, I don't think the viewership would be that high because I don't think people from LA like basketball like these smaller market fans.
Right. There's a lot of fake fans that attend the games, but like they don't really care that much. It's just for appearances. All right.
Yeah,
To close this one out, Jack, just one question for you. So we talked about like the MVP discussion and we talked about like who do you think is going to win it all, that type of stuff. But we were talking about like who's in the conversation, who's in the bubble. But if you had to say right now, one player to win MVP, one team to win the NBA championship, who are you saying right now on February 23rd?
yes, and this is I know people are probably coming because I'm an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. This is taking bias out of it. Okay, like if I wasn't
Mhm.
a fan of basketball at all, I would still say Shea Gilgeous-Alexander will win the MVP. If he doesn't miss the required games, I would say him and Jokic. Jokic would probably be number two. And then Luca, I guess he's probably going to get a scoring title, but again, it matters about team rating too, like how good your other stats are. It's not all just about scoring, and that's again what Luca needs to do better at. I guess is just better on defense. That's the big thing about Luca. But yeah, I would say Shea Gilgeous-Alexander for sure for MVP, and then team to win the NBA Finals would be the Oklahoma City Thunder. I just you kind of can't pick against them right now. Just how
Right.
deep they are in this section where they're at without Jalen Williams and they're out SGA. They're just getting so much better as a team. You could say the same thing about the Celtics, but these other players that would never get any minutes really, or they would, but just not as many as they're getting now, are just really developing their games and just this team is getting so much deeper. Like you look like next year, we're not probably not going to get Casey Wallace back or Isaiah Joe. Like these other players are going to demand so much money, and people are going to want those players because they're doing so good for us, you know. So I think yeah, the deepest team and just I just think could run the table again and have the best chance of repeating since the Warriors in 17-18 with KD. I'd have to
Right.
say okay, OKC for sure.
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to see come June-ish who ends up at the top, and we'll see how the MVP discussion concludes as well. And if that does happen, we'll have a repeat last year, both in MVP and in finals. And it's easy to say the Thunder because not only have they looked like the most complete team and they just keep winning, but they also did very similar things last year and showed that they could get it done at the highest level. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, Jack. Talk some NBA basketball, and we'll just see how it comes in the coming weeks. Thanks for joining the show, Jack.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be on anytime. Thanks.
Of course. And as we said, we're past the All-Star break. So we're over halfway done with the season, and we're getting ever closer to playing weekend where we can see, once again, the Heat play the Hawks. It's the Ben Buzz. I'm Benny King, and thanks for tuning in.